Why does Noxus want to conquer all of Runeterra, and will they ever succeed in taking Demacia and Ionia? I will first give a lead up to how the Demacian and Ionian war happened. Before Noxus, there was a warlord who lived there called Shan Azul. This dude was crazy. He just wanted to conquer all of Runeterra as he believed this is the only way he would be honored in the Legends Hall. Kinda like the Valhalla for Vikings. So when the day he died, well, he didn't go there. Instead, he was in the death realm. And you see, a normal person would have accepted death, but Shan was built different. Dude rejected death and wanted to come back, aka be resurrected. So during something called the Darkin War, there's a bunch of crazy people who do some rituals and bring him back to life. But he doesn't come back with flesh and is only his armor. This is when he wants to rebrand himself and is now known as Mordekaiser. Under Mordekaiser, he had a circle of very powerful mages, and one of them was known as LeBlanc. She had her own goals and hated the fact that Mordekaiser was above her. She wanted to get rid of him, but knew alone she could not do anything. So she went looking for someone called Vladimir. Vladimir is a blood-horny ex-prince who had a Darkin master. Side note, Darkins were these powerful warriors from a place called Shurima. They got corrupted and into blood magic, and are now evil warmongers in basic terms. Vladimir eventually betrayed his master and killed him, and then absorbed his power. So Vlad has blood magic and the strength of a Darkin. He's busted. He accepted LeBlanc's invitation to take down Mordekaiser, so together they attack something called the Immortal Bastion. This is where Mordekaiser has his base and is the current capital of Noxus. And Noxus at this point was called Noxy. After they attack the Immortal Bastion, they are able to cut Mordekaiser's source of powers, which are the souls he absorbs. And accomplishing this allowed them to seal Mordekaiser. And it's really important we notice that they couldn't beat him but only sealed him, as Mordekaiser is just him. And side note, we later find out that Mordekaiser kinda allowed them to seal him and is currently awaiting to return to Runeterra. After their first successful mission, Vlad and LeBlanc form a group called the Black Rose, and this is important as they are the group responsible for many wars of Noxus. The Black Rose were living life. They took the Immortal Bastion as their main base and are just expanding their control of Noxy, until they obtained something called the World Runes. These were the runes gods of Runeterra used to form the planet Runeterra. I mean, it's in the name. But the greedy people of Noxus did not use these runes for anything but evil. The runes got into the hands of many different groups who then caused insane destruction amongst each other. Like literally, a lot of civilizations were wiped from these wars. Eventually the rune wars were stopped due to a person named Rise and his master Tiras. And after the wars, Vladimir returned to the Immortal Bastion. All the old groups that were fighting each other realized that maybe together they are stronger, so they all joined together to form a new nation called Noxus. Noxus had a goal to expand their nation and conquer Runeterra. This is the beginning to why they want to beat everyone, and they did exactly that. They expanded far and were dominating whoever they fought, until eventually they reached a place called Demacia. Let me give you a quick backstory of Demacia. Just like Noxus, Demacia was formed after the Rune Wars. Survivors of the war fled from the conflict and found a place with really weird trees. These trees were not letting people use their magic. The people who fled there took advantage of this. They wanted to make their permanent home, as magic is kinda scary after the Rune Wars, so if they can stop it, they are probably safe. Eventually, rumors of this magic-free area attracted lots of the other refugees. They all came and built themselves a community and over time called the place Demacia. And eventually, the nation was covered in a material called petricite. This was created from the trees and is how all of Demacia is a magic-free zone. Demacia as a nation was thriving. They had no ambition to grow. They just wanted to protect their own and that's it. And since magic doesn't work in the area, their small but strong army could fight back the invaders. They even have gods who lived amongst them. One of the refugees who came to Demacia was a man named Keelam. He had twin daughters called Kael and Morgana. Their mother Mira was the host of the Aspect of Justice. She was a god basically. When she passed, her daughters unlocked their celestial powers and also became Aspects of Justice. This is important and would impact the Noxus invasion heavily, as Demacia now has two gods on their side. And when a place called Zephyra was under attack in Demacia, they were protected by both Kael and Morgana. However, there came a time when Kael and Morgana fell out. Basically, Demacia is a very follow the law kind of country, so when Kael used to get wrongdoers, Morgana used to preach that if they are truly sorry and wanting to make a change, then we should not kill them and give them a second chance. And Kael was kinda okay with this, but she used to have a cult following who hated this about Morgana. And in specific, a man named Ronus, Kael's protege. He tried to imprison Morgana, but when Morgana freed herself, he died in the process. This was massive and caused a lot of riots in the city, and when Kael returned, she was pissed and wanted to fight the killer of Ronus. She finds out it's Morgana, and they have a crazy battle for days. As they are fighting, the whole city is getting destroyed, and they only stop as they hear their dead father's cries from the skies. It's a bit cringe, but they're gods, so it's possible. This then leads both Kael and Morgana to leave Demacia. Kael goes to hide in a place called Targon, and Morgana hides in the wilds of Demacia. All of this is very important, as soon after this is when Noxus invades Demacia, and they no longer have the aspects of justice on their side. So back to Noxus. When Noxus reached Demacia, the current emperor of Noxus at the time sent Scion to take their king Jarvan I. It failed horrendously, and when Scion was on the war front, the Noxian army were getting slapped all around. And even Scion was kinda close to getting bullied by the Demacians. But a live Scion is a different breed, and when he is close to death, he gets an adrenaline rush and literally kills everyone at the war. Until he meets the king Jarvan. Him and Jarvan have an intense battle, and it ends up with Jarvan actually beating Scion. However, with his dying breath, Scion is able to lock his fingers around the king's throat and kill him. The king and Scion died together. This was a big deal for both nations, as Demacia has lost their ruler and Noxus' pride of being undefeated was gone. This was the first invasion of Noxus towards Demacia. After the first war, the new emperor of Noxus was a man named Borum Darkwill. He was a bit of a puppet as he really got into the power with the help of the Black Rose. And he was aware the morale of the Noxian country is very low, and he felt the pressure of getting a victory against the Demacians. So Darkwill was desperate, and as a result, he went to the Black Rose to revive Scion. And yes, the Black Rose are very capable and strong, so LeBlanc and Bloodman Vladimir were able to revive Scion. But when Scion is revived, he is just as strong, but dude has no brain. Literally, he was a brain-dead zombie obsessed with killing everyone regardless of the nation. This really upset Darkwill as his plan to restore Noxus' honor failed, and he then had to imprison Scion. Therefore, this was a massive turning point to Darkwill as he now began to lose control and started to ignore the Black Rose. This pissed off LeBlanc, as she knew she had to either stop him or control him. So she comes up with either the most genius or brain-dead plan ever. She goes to a man known as General Swain and tells him that there is a group called the Black Rose. She then exposes all of the members and tells Swain that they plan to kill Darkwill. Swain is a massive nationalist. Dude loves his country more than anything. Therefore, obviously Swain is loyal to Darkwill and goes around executing anyone with an affiliation to the Black Rose, even his own parents. Swain also kills a clone of LeBlanc, which makes Darkwill and Swain believe that she is dead. Oh, LeBlanc's magic is she can make infinite clones and look like anyone, and they are super realistic. With everyone believing LeBlanc is dead, she goes into hiding, until years later she realized that Darkwill is becoming a lunatic and is obsessing over wanting to live forever. So what does she do? She for years has been telling him that there is an artifact in a nation called Ionia, and that can give him the immortal life that he wants. This works. Darkwill becomes so obsessed with the rumor that he announces a full-ass war of Noxus towards Ionia. This is deep, because not only is this war not needed currently, but some of the Noxian troops are still fighting in Demacian territory. Regardless, Darkwill announces the war into Ionia. LeBlanc also convinced him to send General Swain to the front line. I want to quickly tell you about Ionia. Ionia is the opposite of Demacia, as there is magic everywhere. There is a literal spirit world in Ionia and the culture is about peace. Unlike Noxus that just wants war. The Vastaya are a species native to Ionia. They are these half-human animal thingies, and they form because in the beginning of Ionia, the Vastayans get attacked by an evil race known as the Titans. And the Vastayans take the power from the spirit realm of Ionia to become the Vastaya Shai Ray. And as the Vastaya Shai Ray, they defended Ionia against the Titans. The Vastaya Shai Ray were basically immortal, but as times went on, they reproduced with the mortals, hence they are now only the Vastaya and mortal. However, sadly, although Ionia is about peace, they have been invaded a few times. Once was by a region known as Freyord, where these characters are from. And they destroyed a sacred tree in Ionia known as Godwillow. Destroying the tree really hurt the Ionians even till now. You know, like Avatar, that tree in the middle? It's kinda like that. And after the Freyord invasion, Ionia is impacted by two big events. One known as the Darkin War, and the other by the torment of the Golden Demon, aka Kata Jin. If you want a video on that, let me know in the comments. Now, back to Noxus. We are at the stage where Noxus is about to invade Ionia. This war is big and I need to break it down to different battles. It begins with Darkwill sending a full-out invasion towards the borders of Ionia, and dude had zero care for who was dying. They were killing Ionian men, kids, women, everyone. And this was sad. As I said earlier, Ionia is a peaceful nation. And one of the main groups that could potentially fight back during the Noxian invasion is an organization called the Kinko Order. This is run by a man named Master Kusho with his two proteges Zed and Shen. However, when invaded, the King Order did nothing to retaliate. This caused a lot of internal uproar as members like Zed were fully against this peaceful stance. So not only is Ionia doing nothing, there is also major confliction on what to do to respond to the invasion. And Ionia isn't weak, they legit have a spirit god called Karma. Karma's probably one of the strongest people in Runeterra, her power is busted. But she's being told by her circle of monks/followers to do nothing but watch, as Karma is meant to do nothing during uncontrollable circumstances. Literally, she should have slapped the monks. She does eventually fight back though, so credit where credit is due, but takes her sweet time. The first big battle is the battle at the Placidium. This is Ionia's holy place with artifacts. Swain and his boys are able to take it in a few days, and honestly they are hella successful. They steal the artifacts and able to return them back to Noxus by sea. But this is where it gets snaky. Darkwill ignores Swain and his boys once he gets the artifacts and lets them basically die. So right now, Swain is at the Placidium confused on what to do. And this isn't good, as a young girl named Irelia created a resistance group to go fight Swain and his army. And she absolutely murks all of them. So much so that our boy Swain loses both of his legs and his arm. And at this point, you can assume Swain has died. He doesn't die, but I'll get back to that. The war goes on for years and Noxus has zero mercy. For example, a Noxian commander gets Singed to build a chemical gas weapon that they throw in regions of Ionia and kill tens of thousands of innocent Ionians. One of these weapons is why Master Yi's whole village, known as the Wuju village, was destroyed. Yes, Master Yi does get revenge, but the land is so broken and that nothing can grow there again. Let's get back to Swain. He does not actually die. Instead, he is visited by a raven. This raven makes eye contact with Swain and allows him to see the truth of the world. Swain sees how LeBlanc is running the scenes with Darkwill again and how she forced Swain into the war so he could die. But what triggered him most is how Darkwill went to war for personal greed and not for the benefit of Noxus. This raven was powerful enough to give Swain a second chance at life, so Swain did not die and was able to return to Noxus. However, when he returned, he was outcasted by the military and everyone treated him like a second-class citizen due to his injuries. This made Swain search deep in Noxus for a demon named Rorm. Demons in Runeterra are very strong and even Mordekaiser had a few demons himself. So now Swain was busted. He gets many allies like Draven and other nobles in Noxus and uses them to help him overthrow Darkwill. Once he does this, he refers to himself as the Grand General of Noxus. What's interesting is that he also forms something called the Triferix, a three-way ruling system of Noxus. And it's worth knowing, a few of Swain's ambitions were to stop the Black Crows and get you to like and subscribe to this video. There was three pillars that make up the Triferix. The first one was known as Guile, who we believe is run by LeBlanc but not confirmed. The second is Strength, who is run by Darius, and the third was Vision, run by Swain himself. He made this three-way system with the belief that if one person goes crazy, the other two can keep that one in check. And just so you know, the first invasion of Ionia was still ongoing, but they don't actually succeed in taking over Ionia. And Noxus doesn't stop there. They invade Demacia again. The current Prince of Demacia is now Jarvan IV. He becomes General of Demacia and tried to push back Noxian forces from a lawless frontier created by Noxian presence. In response, the new Trifarian Legion sends their army to a place called the Gates of Mourning. This is not where Jarvan is. They fight with the Demacians and actually beat them. Word of this gets to Jarvan, so he becomes all hyped up and pushes towards into Noxian territory. This backfires really hard as the Noxians are able to defeat and encircle him and his army. Jarvan and his boys fled to the forest and are chased by the Noxians for days. However, before they can find and kill him, he is actually saved by a purple-skinned woman, aka Shyvana. And this is the last details we have of the Demacian-Noxian conflict. Riot will most likely in the future add more details to the outcome in their MMO. And if you want a video on that, let me know. Remember I told you about the first invasion of Ionia? Well, that is because now Noxus has invaded Ionia for a second time. And this time they have a genuine strategy to win and overtake the full country. Swain actually uses Sion in this fight. Knowing he can't control Sion, but he literally throws him into the battlefield and knows Sion alone might not win but will cause enough damage that they remember. This lore is from the cinematic called Awaken. And honestly, all we see that is the arrival of Karma, Kennen, Akali, Yasuo are looking like they are turning the tide of the battle against Sion. However, that does not mean Noxus has failed a second time. I said it earlier, but this is where Riot ends the wars from Noxus, and the theory is that they will continue the outcomes of these wars in the new MMO game they plan to release. So to answer my first question, they have not yet succeeded in taking the nations, but nor have they lost. I am sick, so like and subscribe. This is the outro. Love you. Bye.